Welcome everyone to this Know Your Rights webinar. My name is Ritu Goswami and I'm a staff attorney with the USIM Immigrant Legal Services Center, and there's going to be more intros. I just wanted to let everyone know this is a webinar, so your cameras and your mics are turned off and the chat is also disabled just to keep confidentiality. And if you would, only we can see your name, so if you would like to remain anonymous, you can change your Zoom name, and we will accept questions. We'll answer them at the end, and we're going to accept them through the Q&A feature. So you can put your questions in there. And there is you can also ask your questions anonymously if you don't want to, if you don't want other people to see your name. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Jasmine.
All right. Here we go. Can you all see? For some reason, I can't see it.
It says start a screen sharing.
Give me 1 second. All right.
Yeah, we can see.
Present. Oh, it won't let me. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Can you all see? Great. All right. Welcome, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jasmine Hernandez. I am the Undocumented Student Services Assistant Director. You all heard from Ritu. Ritu is our amazing staff attorney through USM, and we work very closely with USM and USS and EOP. We also have other staff who are part of Undocumented Student Services, which is Daniela, our program consultant. She does a lot of the collaborations across campus. And we have Karina, who's our EOP academic counselor, and a lot of our USS students do meet with her. Oop. All right. So I want to talk to you all a little bit about Undocumented Student Services. What do we do? What do we focus on? Like I mentioned, we do have our USS counselor that students can meet with. We also provide peer mentorship. We have a couple of our student staff who are able to support students across campus, talk to them about opportunities that are available through our program, as well as having quarterly presentations, workshops, and social events. A lot of that information is through our newsletter. So for students who are not subscribed, feel free to subscribe to our newsletter, as well as our social media. So Instagram is one of the best ways to hear about upcoming events and things that are being provided by the student staff, as well as our academic staff. And then lastly, we do have legal assistance, as you all are here. And we have Ritu, who provides a lot of that support, as well as the intern Dana. And then multiple types of funding resources that are available to students. And in order for students to know a little bit more about those, they can reach out to me or to Karina. The information for our attorney is in the lower part. And if you have any more questions, you can also reach out to us through our EOP AB 540 UCSC email. So where are we located? We get this question a lot. A lot of students might get lost or may not know where exactly to find us. We are located in the ARC Center, and currently my office and the counselor's office is located right as you walk into the EOP office. You can talk to the front desk and they can direct you to our offices. We also have study spaces upstairs. So this is a place where students can go and study, as well as this is where our interns are located. So if students or staff are interested in talking to some of our current student staff, this is where they would be located. Oop. And here's a quick map of what that looks like. For those of you who have not been to our Academic Resource Center, this is where you can find us. And our floor room is in room 121. All right, I'll hand it back to Ritu, who is prepared to share more information with you all about knowing your rights.
Yeah. Thanks, Jasmine. And Jasmine and Dana are going to be monitoring the Q&A. And it's easier for me to get through everything and answer the questions at the end. So please, you can put your questions in the Q&A, and I will get to them. So I am sharing my screen. The same thing. I can't see it. Did that happen to you? Let me try again.
Yeah, so I had to close it and then just go to the main PowerPoint and then put full screen in order to be able to share it.
Close the.
Like if you have it in presentation mode, you have to close it and just share the screen and then,
That's what you're right.
yeah.
You are right. Because I had it. Okay. Oops. No. Thanks, everyone. I have like practice and everything, and then when it's like showtime. Okay. Now can everyone see?
Yes, we could see it.
So, yay. Okay. Awesome. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you. Thanks for being here. We are doing monthly webinars for Know Your Rights with the UC Immigrant Legal Services Center in collaboration with USS. And this, if any of you have been here last month, it's the same presentation. I've added a few things, but I feel like it's a lot, and so you will still learn things every time. And this information you just need to hear a lot of times. So please, hang in there, ask your questions, and let's jump in. So to introduce myself formally, so my name is Ritu Goswami, and I am the UC Santa Cruz staff attorney with the UC Immigrant Legal Services Center, and I provide free immigration legal services for UCSC students and immediate family members. So that includes spouse, parent, sibling, child, intended spouse, partners, and also UCSC staff for their personal cases. So if staff have DACA or some temporary status, we can assist with that. I also wanted to introduce Dana Alvarez Hernandez, who is our USS USIM legal intern. And Dana supports me with client casework, administrative work, and also assisting with workshops, such as this one. So for those of you who have not heard this information before, it's a lot. We're going to be talking about pretty, worst case scenario. It may be hard to hear, so take care of your needs, take breaks. We are recording this. We will be providing the slides, so the information will be available to you. And I thought maybe to center ourselves, we could take a couple of breaths together. So wherever you are, take a comfortable seat, maybe to stretch a little bit, settling into this to get into learning mode, maybe feet on the ground, on the floor. And you could close your eyes if you wanted. We're just taking a gaze away from your screen. And then just noticing your breath. And we'll take 3 breaths together. So exhaling everything. Take a deep inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And last one, inhale. And exhale. Awesome. Hopefully we've arrived. Calm down our nervous system a little bit. Come back to the webinar. So the goals for this presentation is to understand who's at risk of arrest and detention by immigration, understanding the rights you have if you come into contact with immigration, how to use those rights, and resources available to you. So we're all aware that this is a tough time right now. I'm talking about worst case scenarios if there is an arrest or detention and what rights you have. And so the best way to prepare, because there's so much information and so much uncertainty and anxiety right now, is to be prepared. And so knowing what to do when something happens and also how to prepare is your best defense. So I wanted to spend some time on who's at risk of arrest because people often uh, regularly ask me, right? Can I be deported? Who can be deported? And so, and what happens if, you know, if there's a raid, or what happens if they're, what happens? So basically, to arrest someone, immigration, so ICE, or Customs Border Protection, they need to have a reason to believe that the person is undocumented or deportable. So this is for all non-citizens. So if you're undocumented, you are deportable, but also if you have some kind of status, if you're not a US citizen, you may be deportable. And you've, like, for example, if you've committed crimes, you have something in your record that could make you deportable from the US. And so usually immigration arrests happen for two reasons. That immigration already has information about a person and they're looking for that person. So that person violated their visa, they already have a removal order, and so they're looking to enforce that order. Or um, this is where you all should know your rights. Other times it happens because the the immigrant gives that information. The non-citizen basically admits to being in the US without status. And everything I'm going to say to you is information, and in the moment you have to take care of yourself, but that is the power you have. You do not need to give this information. So I'm going to keep drilling that down, that you do not have to share that information. You have the right to remain silent. And so some immigrants are at greater risk. I will say, like, our center is following all new policies, and it seems like this is getting blurry, but these are generally who's at greater risk. If you've committed a crime, if you have a prior deportation order, um, if you basically, if you have status and you've committed crimes, or violated, if you have a non-immigrant visa, so kind of a temporary visa, and you violated those terms. And the reason is this list of people are easier to find, um, because of the activities that have happened. So it's easier to find that person. They will have information about that person, so there's greater risk. So, who has rights in the United States? Every person in the United States, every human being, regardless of their immigration status, has constitutional rights. And what rights do we have? So, there are many, but we're going to focus on the Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendments. The Fourth Amendment is about searches. So, this is your right to not be searched. So ICE and law enforcement cannot enter a person's home. I'm going to get really detailed into this in a bit. Can't enter a person's home to conduct a search or arrest without a warrant or permission from the person. Fifth Amendment, right to remain silent. And this is probably what you're all hearing, and that is your greatest defense. And so ICE can only deport you if they have proof that you're not a US citizen. And how are they going to get that if you don't tell them? You have the right to due process. So you have the right to fight your case in immigration court. You don't have to sign anything. You can refuse to give documents. And then the Sixth Amendment is a right to an attorney. So in deportation proceedings, you don't get an attorney like in criminal proceedings where you're given a public defender, but um, either you have to find someone or pay for one. But you can always assert that right, saying, I want to talk with an attorney. I will not sign anything before talking with an attorney. And that is invoking your right. And also you have a right to be advised about how your criminal charges will affect an immigration. And that's by law. Um, so if I do get calls too about people who have been arrested, non-citizens who've been arrested, it's very important that your criminal attorney speak with an immigration attorney to see how that arrest or whatever happens with that crime will affect your immigration in the future. So let's talk about understanding your rights at home. So this maybe if you live off campus, or this may be for your family, this is for your house where you live. So an immigration officer cannot enter your home unless they have a valid judicial warrant or someone in your house gives them permission to enter. They rarely have a judicial warrant. It's very hard to get one. We're gonna go over that. It's very hard to get one. They have to get it, like, from a court, for a specific person. So it's very rare. And I'm gonna go over this. It's not the same as a deportation order. It's basically a warrant that where a judge is saying, yes, you can go into someone's home to search that to search for people or to search for things, and so they cannot enter your home. So that's easier said than done because they may show up anyway and they may try to come in. So at home, you have the right to keep your door closed. Ask the agents why you're there. They do kind of trick people into saying they're the police. And so you want to really find out who they are. You can ask for their name. You can ask for to show their badge through the window. You have the right to ask for an interpreter if it's a language you don't understand, if in a language you can understand, and to ask for a warrant. And so then, and I'm going to show a video later. If ask for a warrant and have them slide it under the door or show or hold it up to the window and actually take the time to read it. And so you can keep the door closed and review that document. And then it says it here. You can hold it up to window or slide it under the door. So this is a document from like 2014. So this has been circulated all over the internet. Maybe many of you have seen it. And this is a search warrant. And it's signed by a judge, as you can see on the bottom. And so this is another example. And so it's issued by a court. And it should have the name of the person that it is addressing. And it needs to be signed by a judge. So not an ICE agent, not an immigration judge. That's Homeland Security. This has to be like an actual local court, a state court. So this is what ICE may show you. And this is an ICE warrant, something they made up. This is not, it'll say warrant of removal, but this is not a judicial warrant. And it does not allow them to come into your home. So don't let them in. Tell them to come back with a judicial warrant. Call your attorney if you see something like this. And so this is another ICE warrant. And it says warrant for arrest. It's issued by Homeland Security, not by a judge. So it needs to be issued by a judge from a local court. Again, it's very rare to see them. So if they produce this, it's not enough. So when we did this presentation earlier this quarter, in person, people asked like, oh, but what if you accidentally let them in? Which makes sense, right? They may trick you. They might say something to make you open the door. You still have rights. Do your best to stay calm. Don't run. Don't interfere or obstruct with an officer because that is a crime, or physically confronting an officer. It's important not to lie or give false documents. I know people do this for their safety, but that can be more problems later, and it could also be a crime. And so remember the details of the encounter so you can tell them to your attorney later. So you have the right to remain silent. So even if immigration does enter your home, you still can choose to not answer their questions about your status. And if you do have status, then it's your choice whether you want to show them your documents. If you have a green card or you have DACA or a work permit, you can show those. So we're moving to your rights at work. And so in public spaces, ICE can enter without a warrant. Private spaces, ICE needs a warrant or the employer's permission. And so it's up to employers to designate areas public and private. Employers should know their rights. Again, if ICE is present, don't run. Ask if you're under arrest. If you're not under arrest, then you can calmly leave. So we're saying don't run, but you can walk away from the situation. Otherwise, you have the right to remain silent and ask for an attorney if ICE shows up in the workplace. So people are asking about ICE presence at the UCs. It's very specific to the campus. So every campus has a protocol for responding to ICE enforcement, and most campus protocol involves reaching out to campus council or the police department, campus police. So at UCSC, at our campus, this is the protocol. So you can call me for specific, well, I'll tell you what you heard, what you can call me. But if ICE is present on campus, students can call this number to the dean of students, and then staff can call campus council. And the distinction is that for students, you need to basically to report this to show what's going on. But for staff, for example, if ICE comes into your classroom, what do you do, right? And so staff should call campus council, which is the attorney for the whole campus, and then and you can tell you can tell ICE, like, I need to talk to my attorney. So if you're a staff of UCSC, definitely you want to do nothing and call campus council and tell ICE that you need to call campus council and have them wait. And for students, contact the dean of students so then the dean knows what's going on and can help you, just can help in the situation. You can also call me. I'm gonna explain later about how to contact me, but really my role is if you do get detained. So for an immigration attorney, I'm here to help you if you get detained. But in the moment when ICE is on campus, there's not much I can do, and it's better to call the dean of students and let the campus know. And for staff, it's really important to let campus council know what's going on. Okay, driving. So people ask me too, when they're driving, what are my rights? So knowing the distinction between police and immigration. So driving requires a license and registration, so police can ask you for that. But police in California cannot ask you about your immigration status. So if you're not sure who this person is pulling you over, you can ask to see their badge. If you don't have a driver's license, you can ask to park your car on the side and have a licensed driver pick it up, but you can't drive without a license. So if you're undocumented, immigration stops you, again, you have the right to remain silent, and we suggest you don't give false information. If you have status and ICE contacts you while driving, you may choose to show your documents. So in the street. So if you encounter immigration in the street or any public place, do not run. You do have the right to ask if you're being detained. If you are, follow the instructions you're given. If not, then you can ask to leave. Again, you have the right to remain silent, so you don't have to answer the questions. You can just simply say you don't want to answer the questions, you want to talk with an attorney. If you're arrested, remember to stay calm, be polite, don't interfere with or obstruct an officer. And this also is for people, for allies. It's really tricky about what to do. Like you can be there, you can like speak up for someone, but you can't interfere with an officer. You cannot physically confront an officer, right? Again, don't lie or give false documents. It's better to be silent. That's just the best defense you have. And again, remember the details of the encounter. So you do have a right to record with your camera. There are also apps. I have an app from the ACLU. I'm forgetting the name of it right now. But it basically will record the interaction and send it to the ACLU. And so remember everything. So then right afterward, write it down or just remember it for when you talk with your attorney. So what could happen if you're taken into custody? So you remain silent, you still get arrested, um, you don't obstruct the officer. You may be taken to the nearest immigration processing center or another immigration facility, maybe an immigration office. They'll likely search you and anything you have. So at that time, you know, don't carry any false documents or things with false information because they will be able to get that. Um, they'll take your fingerprints, they maybe ask more questions. So you still have the right to remain silent. They may issue a charging document called a notice to appear if they think you're undocumented or in violation of immigration. And then they have the authority to decide whether they will hold you in detention or release you. So this is the very important, the first 24 hours or less is when they're going to make that decision. And so that's really when you need to call your attorney. So call our center, call me or anyone at our center. You can also reach out to USS and they can reach out to me because that's the time where you want to let us know where you are. So whether you're a student or a family member, you're in our jurisdiction of who we serve, then we can try to get you out. So, we'll do our best to advocate for you because immigration does have a lot of discretion. They don't need to hold you. And especially if you're a student, we can advocate for you. So it's really, really important to reach out, tell us where you are, or tell a family member and have and we're going to talk about safety planning. So maybe you have a person who will contact us, let us know where you are. And then I wanted to just review so far because it's a lot. Um, the first thing is you want to remain silent. If you still get detained, then at that time you may decide, okay, now I'm going to show what documents I have. But you can have your documents with you and choose not to show them. So if you do have a work permit or you have DACA, but you don't need to share that. But after you're arrested, you may want to show it at that time, especially when they're deciding whether or not to hold you. So you always have the right to remain silent. You have the right to call your lawyer or your family. That call may not be confidential, but we just learned that you can ask for a confidential call. There are ways to do that. So you can do that. If you're not sure if it's confidential, don't talk about your status. There's no need to. And you're calling your attorney or your family and you're letting them know where you are. You don't need to talk about your status or what happened until another time when you know it's confidential. You have the right to refuse to sign any documents until you consult with an attorney. They will try to trick you and be like, okay, we're not gonna hold you, just sign here, and it's like a self-deportation. And so if you don't need to sign any documents, again, be safe. If that's the best decision for you, then do that. Um, like you're at choice, but just letting you know you don't have to. Many people who are detained are eligible to released on bond, which is like a bail. Um, there have been some changes to that, but um, so when you're detained, ask to see a judge and ask for a bond or a bail. And for all of you students, just say like, I'm a university student and I need to go to school. I need to, I need to have bail. So just like advocate for yourself at that time. So if you do have a prior deportation order, you can be removed without seeing a judge, right? Because you were already deported and they're just executing that order. So because you didn't comply with it, unless you fear returning to your country. So if you're afraid of being hurt in your country, you have to say that repeatedly. So they're supposed to not deport you, even if you have in all the scenarios, even if you have an order of deportation, cannot deport you without giving you an interview about your fears. And so you have to keep saying it. I'm afraid to return to my country, and then I need to speak with an attorney. And so you want to get an interview to talk about your fear of return. Okay, so there's something called expedited removal, and this is basically a process. It's a rapid deportation process where you cannot go in front of an immigration judge, and so fewer rights. Um, and what can community members do? So it's been expanded. This is something that has been done for a long time, like on the border, on like along the border, because it was just a mechanism where people could be deported easily without having much due process. But now that has been expanded, that basically anyone here, it used to be like recent arrivals, like 2 weeks, but now it's 2 years. So something that you can do is carry with you evidence of being in the US for 2 years, because then if you are, we just talked about the scenarios, if you are detained, you'll have that evidence with you, and so then you won't be, you know, like removed right there. You'll have a chance to fight, so you have that. So carry with you any, like students carry transcripts, or for your family members, like leases, bank statements, anything records that show you've been here for the last 2 years. Again, don't carry information that have false information on them. That's not your information. Do carry evidence of your lawful entry into the US, your lawful status. If you have anything pending asylum, any pending application, carry evidence of that with you, a copy of your notice, um, and then share that evidence after you've been taken into custody. So again, first is to remain silent with the exception of asking to speak with a lawyer or saying you're afraid. But once you've been taken into custody, that's a time where you can show your evidence and advocate for yourself, because those expedited removals can happen really quickly and you will not have time to speak with an attorney. So there is a new law called the Lake and Riley Act, and this basically expanded their right to detain people without with um anyway, some immigrants will be detained by immigration without an opportunity to ask for release. And so if you're arrested or charged with certain crimes, and they're listed here, some of them aren't that serious, then you may not then you can be detained. And so burglary, theft, shoplifting, assault. But if you have any arrest or any charges, it's really important you speak with an attorney. Speak with me, speak with an attorney or accredited representative to see your risk, because we talked about what's higher risk. So you may be higher risk for being detained. Because remember I talked about like immigration can decide what to do. Uh, and then this will give them some guidance about who they can detain. This does not apply to lawful permanent residents or green card holders, for refugees, or people who entered on a visa. So that was a lot. That was a lot. I am going to play a video. Let's see how it goes to kind of review everything we talked about. Ooh, it's working. Can y'all hear it? Yes?
It was 5:30 a.m. when ICE came to Esther's apartment. ICE stands for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The agents lied to Esther, saying they were police officers investigating a crime and her husband, Alexei, was a potential witness. "Is Alexei home?" they asked innocently. Now Esther's gut told her she should cooperate, but she remembered something she'd heard on the radio. ICE had been making early morning sweeps using tricks like this to get people to open their doors. Esther remembered she had rights. ICE may try similar tricks at your home. They may say they're looking for a friend, relative, or roommate. But do not be fooled, and do not open the door. Instead, remain calm and be polite. Tell the agents that you'd like to see a warrant and their ID. Ask them to slip these documents under the door or hold them up to the peephole. Without a warrant signed by a judge, ICE is not allowed to enter or search your home. ICE usually won't have a warrant, but they may lie and say they do, or show you something else that looks official. So look carefully and take pictures of whatever they show you. If they refuse to share any of these documents, then ask them for their card and contact information. Do not show the agents anything or say anything except, "I do not consent for you to enter my home. I do not want to talk to you without a lawyer present. Please leave." Now, ICE won't always listen to you and may enter your home using force. But saying these things might help you in court, even if the agents don't listen. The other videos in this series will help you understand your rights if ICE enters your home or arrests you. Esther and Alexei knew their rights, and the officers left. This is all scary, but remember, we have rights. After an encounter with ICE, take notes about what happened, writing down as many details as you can remember. This information might be helpful in future immigration proceedings. It's important that you and your loved ones are prepared for encounters with ICE, and that you have a plan for what to do if one of you is arrested, including information about who to call. If ICE comes to your home, remember, you have rights. Do not open the door. Ask to see a warrant signed by a judge. Tell them you do not consent to them being at your home. Please leave. If a loved one is arrested, you should be able to locate them at locator.ice.gov.
How do I go to the next? All right. It's very cool that it went to cool. Cool. All right. I can't turn my camera back on for some reason. Hi everyone. Okay. So thank you for doing that. For listening. Okay. So I want to switch. We talked about the know your rights. I want to shift focus now to planning, safety planning, family planning, all kinds of planning. So it's very important to make a plan. I think that's the best thing to do right now for you and your family. So the main thing is identify someone to call if you're detained, like I talked about. And so keep a card of a contact person who's reliable. I mean, I'm here, but I can't be your family contact person. So find somebody, maybe it's a family member who has status, maybe it's a neighbor, a friend, a relative, and that is the point person for your family. So if somebody's detained, they contact that person. And they're going to be able, they're like, it's somebody, our director says, like, I wouldn't be the right person, but my sister always answers the phone. Like, is there someone in your family who always answers the phone, who will be there? And to let them know, memorize their phone number. And also make sure that person knows what steps to take if they're contacted. So you want to collect important documents, IDs, birth certificates, marriage, medical, all school records, immigration records. Um, and this is, you want to keep them in a safe place. You want to know where the originals are, but then also maybe you want to create a cloud and put the documents in there. You can share this with an attorney or with this person who or responsible children to keep them safe in case of an emergency. Plan who will tend to young children and other responsibilities like financial, different things like that. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about childcare in a moment. Legal assistance, make sure the trusted adult knows how to contact an immigration attorney that's already been retained or how to find it. So I have a lot of information in these slides about resources about how to find an attorney and also about how to reach out to your campus attorney. Save money for legal or other expenses, and then share that plan. Carry red cards. I think we all know what red cards are at this point. This is a card with the rights that we just talked about, so carry that with you. It's important for you to remember your rights, so you could just read it, but then also you can show it if you are stopped. Identify a rapid response network. So I wanted to talk about what rapid response people do and what attorneys do. So rapid response are the people who literally are on call. And so if something happens, I'll show you how to find a rapid response network in your area. These are volunteers, organized people in the community who will show up for you and also like will show up for each other. So it's important if something's happening to you to let other people in your community know what's happening. And also this person can come in and speak for you, basically say your rights, so you don't have to speak. And these are not usually lawyers, they can be. But you also want to talk to an attorney about getting out of detention, about um, finding out what's happening with your specific case. So you want to prepare by talking with an attorney, but then also you want to talk to an attorney after you're detained. But at the time when it's happening, rapid response is the right way to go, and also contact your personal contact. So I've said this many times, but don't carry documents with false information or from a different country. We don't recommend carrying foreign passports because it's showing that you're not born from this country, you're not from this country. Instead, carry another valid document like a school ID, work permit, your green card, and again, documents showing you've lived in the US for at least 2 years. So that could be memberships, utilities. Make sure the documents don't have false information on them. So, as I've been saying, you have rights. You have rights to continue your education, your university education. Children have a right to go to school, especially there's laws protecting this. Don't let fear deter you from living your life. Don't give up services that you are otherwise eligible for. The probability of immigration arrest is still relatively low. I mean, we keep hearing this stuff. There's a lot of fear, but really the it's hard. It's hard to do these arrests. So um knowing your rights and having a plan is the best you can do because people are asking me every day and we don't know. Um and so really empowering yourselves and working in community is the best way. So sorry, this is such like big words. I wanted to add something about policy updates. Our center is tracking everything, and so the best thing is to follow our center on social media, work with USS. So we are putting information out there. The thing is, there's so much information, and a lot of it is not like very clear or like we can't really give advice on it because it's like, so for example, this registration requirement, I just wanted to pull this one out, that there was an announcement that non-citizens will need to register. And so there are laws. So this is referring to current immigration laws that can impose civil and criminal penalties if you don't register. However, there's no way, there's no process to register. And so it's just kind of scaring people, but there's nothing to do. And we're monitoring it. And if there is something new that people need to do, we will let you know. Definitely check in with us. If you do have a case pending and you don't need to do anything, um, but definitely, if you have not had a consultation with me or an immigration attorney or accredited representative and you're a non-citizen, that would be a good idea to do that so we can make a specific plan for you. So, like I was saying, there's constant information being shared in the media. So it's important to talk with an immigration attorney or accredited representative about your specific situation. So also following trusted sources of information. So the We Have Rights, I showed that video, there's several of them and they are available in multiple languages. And this is a great thing you can do in your communities, in your clubs, in your classes. It's like a 3-minute video, like information for everybody, for allies is really important. So you can play those videos or share them. The red cards, keeping with you. They are available for UC affiliates on campus. I know we have them at EOP and different at the Resource Center. There is an app, the Know Your Rights app. Um, and this is pretty cool for people who don't want to feel shy. So this app that's here, it's for iPhone and Android. It basically has your rights in there, and you just would need to like play it, and it would say like, I'm exercising my right to remain silent. I am like, you may not search my home, and that's kind of helpful too for, and it has different languages. It might be helpful for your families to have something like that. And so there's a QR code there too. There was a question, there was a question like if you have this on your phone, whether that like targets you. I mean, I think for your specific situation, it's important to talk with an attorney, but this is basically a know your rights and anyone can have it. So, if you're concerned about that, definitely talk with somebody. But having it is it's just an app about your rights. It's not an admission that you're a non-citizen. It's actually exercising your right to remain silent. Uh, Family planning. So there's a link for family planning for family planning. This is the detainee locator. It was mentioned in the video. So if you are trying to find somebody who's been detained, you can look on that website. Again, that rapid response hotlines. So they're usually by county in California, and so many counties have established like a hotline and a network of volunteers, and some are available 24 hours, and so we can click on that. And if you're connected with UC, any UC, then contact your campus attorney. I am the attorney for UC Santa Cruz. And so UC Immigrant Legal Services Center serves these 9 campuses, and Cal State also has resources, the community colleges, and then this is a legal services directory for just generally for advocates all over the country. Like if you know people outside of California or outside of the system, outside of the college system in California. Okay, let me see if I can turn on my camera. Anyway, we can move into questions. Does anyone know? Jasmine, you know how I can get my camera back on? Are you all having that same issue?
No, not sure why it doesn't give you the option for camera.
Are you able to do it?
I think so. Yeah.
Um, just it said the option like start camera, start video.
Yeah.
Hmm, I don't know. I don't want to touch anything. Just says, yeah, it doesn't give me an option.
Do we want
Anyway,
to?
do we have questions?
stop the
I'll keep
recording?
playing with it, but do we have questions?
Do we want to stop the recording now?
Sure.